among the resources and the number of tasks. Okay, so if you have single resource and you have multiple tasks, you can solve this problem by using binary semaphore. If you have more number of resources and also the n number of tasks, you can share all those resources by using counting semaphore. Okay. Now, how to solve the inter-process synchronization problem or the task synchronization problem? So we have other services like mutual exclusion. Okay, then message queues, message mailboxes, then event flags are there. Okay, then there are one service called as a memory management service called as fixed size memory partitions. Then you have the service that is task management. Okay, that means you can create task, you can modify the task, you can delete the task. Likewise, there are different functions that are available in the task management, and very importantly is the time management. Okay, so we have seen one function that is OS time delay. Okay, so that is related to the time management. So these are the different functions that are supported by your MuCOS 2, okay, for the programmers. Okay, so remember these services. Now we'll see one by one. Now this is the kernel architecture of your MuCOS 2. Okay, uh, that means just see, we are dealing with a RTOS, that is real-time operating system. That means you have to port your RTOS or you have to copy your real-time operating system into the microcontroller. Okay, into your RAM area, you are going to port your RTOS. Okay, like on desktop, we are installing our any OS Windows 7, okay, or 10. Likewise, so you have to rather than installing, you have to copy that OS into the RAM of your microcontroller. For example, ARM7. Okay, and this RTOS is very small in the size of only megabytes. Okay, so the size of this RTOS is very small in MBs, so it can be fitted into the ROM area of the microcontroller. Okay, now this process is called as a porting of the MuCOS 2 on the target device. Remember this one. Okay, I have explained in a very simple language. Okay, so if you copy your RTOS into the memory of your any controller, the process is called as the porting of the MuCOS 2. Okay, so the complete view of the kernel architecture is provided here. Okay, uh, the first layer is called as the application software. Okay, likewise, in terms of our desktop, just see if you compare desktop with a embedded system. So now we have the application software like your Adobe, Microsoft Office. Okay, so all these are nothing but the application software, and your whatever the Windows 7, this is the actual operating system, and whatever the motherboard and all this hardware, that is nothing but your hardware components of your system. So likewise, in embedded also you have the application software. So top of the layer is always your application software, that is it's your code or user code that is written in an application software. Okay, then you have different parts of your MuCOS 2. Okay, so MuCOS 2, let's see, MuCOS 2, the first code is called as a processor independent code. So this blue area is nothing but the code of independent processor. That means these are some of the function of MuCOS 2 which are completely independent of the your processor. Okay, that means whether you port your RTOS on the ARM7 or ARM9 or Cortex M3 or M4 type of processor, okay, this code is independent. Okay, that means there is no need to change anything into this code. Okay, second code is nothing but the called as a configuration files. So MuCOS 2, the second part is a microcontroller operating system 2 configurations are called as a configuration file, CFG file. So this is application specific code only, and the third layer, that is nothing but the processor specific code. It is again the part of MuCOS 2 code. Okay, or port, which is nothing but the processor specific code. Okay, so these are three actual part of the MUPAS2 code. Okay, one is a processor independent code, another is a processor specific code, and third is a application specific code that is written in the configuration file. Okay, maybe at the time of practical I will show you the CFG file. Now what is remaining? The remaining part is only the hardware. Okay, so hardware means the actual target device, let LPC2148 of Philips. Okay, it's ARM7, and whatever the circuitry it requires. Okay, maybe the power supply, UARTs. Okay, then reset circuitry, clock circuitry, and all the peripherals. So that will form this particular layer. Okay, so this is a simple kernel architecture of your any embedded system with the MUPAS2. And now if you talk in terms of okay, let's close the dialog to see who it is. Okay, okay, the Vrushali, okay, so Vrushali is waiting for lecture, please add her. Okay, so whether Vrushali join or not? Hello, Arshada, Vrushali, okay, you have given the message, whether she is join or not?
Yes, sir. ती झाली आता join.
Okay, okay, no problem. MUPAS2 file structure is given. Okay, in more detail, the same kernel is explained with the help of some internal files of MUPAS2 only. Okay, so first layer is a application layer or application software. Remember, this is the that is general hardware used in all the embedded systems, or you can say in the RTOS based embedded systems. Okay. So first is application layer or software that is written by the user. Okay, for example, we have to write some program or some application to sense the environmental temperature or humidity, likewise, and accordingly you have to update it. So that kind of code can be written in the application software. In the second part, MUPAS2 processor independent code. Okay, just see these are the different code files or the C files which are independent of the processor. So that are what shown. That is OS core.c, OS mbox.c, memory.c, qc, sema.c, task.c, time.c, then MUPAS2.c and MUPAS2.header file. Okay, so these files are called as a processor independent code. That means you can use this code without any change. Okay, in any type of processor. Okay. Then you have the second part is a MUPAS2 configuration file or application specific code, which is nothing but the oscfg.header file. Okay, configuration file. And third, it's a includes.h file. Okay, so these files will form the this particular part application specific. MUPAS2 processor specific part contains oscpu.h file, oscpu underscore a.asm file, oscpu dot underscore c.c file. Okay, so these are some of the files that are your processor specific. Okay, and then you have the hardware. So hardware contains your CPU, that means your LPC2148 and a timer or any other related functions. So this particular slides will explain the MUPAS2 file structure as well as the kernel structure. Okay. Now this is your task state transition diagram. In the previous lecture, we have seen the general task state transition diagram. In this particular diagram, we have added one more state of the task that is called as a dormant state. Okay. So already we have seen ready state, running state, and waiting state also. Okay. So running state is nothing but the task which is in this state, okay, or the if the microprocessor is executing the current task, so that task is said to be in a running state. Okay. Second state is called as a ready to run state. Okay, so if the task is waiting for the microprocessor to execute itself, so that kind of tasks are called as a ready to run state. And waiting tasks are nothing but this kind of tasks are waiting for something to be happen externally. Okay, that is nothing but they are waiting for some external interrupt to occur. So if something is happen, only then these kinds of tasks will go from this waiting state to the ready to run state. Okay. Now there is a one more task that is very important and widely asked at the time of practical exam, called as a dormant state. So dormant state is nothing but if you are not interested in any task and want to delete that task. Okay, so you delete that task. That is what is shown by this arrow. If you delete any task, so that task is reside into the ROM area of your uh, processor. Okay, that is, it is resident in the ROM area. Okay, but the problem is that it is available into the memory, but it is not available for the processor. Okay, that means it is inactive or non-active. Okay, so to delete the task, it doesn't mean that you have to remove the task from the memory, rather than that task is available in the your read-only memory, but it is not available in the execution of your program. Okay, so that kind of tasks are called as a dormant state of the task, or the in dormant state the task is deleted and it is resided into the ROM area of memory. Okay, called as a dormant state of the task. All other tasks are already we have discussed. And now we will discuss some of the functions related to your MuCOS 2. OS initialization, just see. So in the I think yesterday we have seen the practical. In this, you have to use this function OS initialization. OS initialization must be called before any other services of the kernel can be used. So it will initialize the MuCOS 2. That means it will make your MuCOS 2 ready for the execution. Okay. Then you have OS initialization, which creates the idle task, which is always ready to run. Then OS initialize also creates 4 pools of free data structures for TCB. What is called as a TCB? It's called as a task control blocks, then events, queues, and memory. Okay, so it will create the necessary services before the execution of your task. Okay, and also it will make all your tasks ready to run. So that is what the function of this OS initialization. Okay. Now next service of your RTOS 2 or MuCOS 2 is a task management function. Okay, that means we are going to create a number of tasks. Okay, so how to create a number of tasks? That is by using this simple function called as a OS task create. Okay, so if you observe here, this is also we have used in the practical time, that is operating system task create, and you have to give some parameters. So parameters are nothing but the white task, white asterisk pointer data, OS stack, that is a asterisk PTOS, and int 8u priority. That is the type of data type of it equals to unsigned 8-bit integer. Okay, so how to create a task we have seen. In this, you have to give the name of the task. Okay, then you have to mention the stack memory required for that particular task and the priority of the task. So this much of information is sufficient to run the task into your RTOS. Now it's okay to create a task. I will call the task create function. Now I have to delete the task. Okay, I'm not interested in the task and I want to delete the task. So I will call this function called as a OS delete. Okay, OS task delete. So this will delete your task. Okay, and now what do you mean by the deleting the task? That means you return your, or the task will return to dormant state. Okay, dormant state means it will reside into the ROM area, but that is not actively participated in the execution by the RTOS. I hope you have understood these two: OS initialization, OS create, OS delete. Okay, so in this lecture, I will try to cover all these kinds of functions, which are very much similar to each other. Okay. So, are you okay with this, all of you? So, okay, I have got one. Atiksha is whether she has joined. Atiksha, I have got one from. Okay, no problem.
Yes, sir.
Uh, so whether it is okay right now, we have seen the kernel architecture, because to file structure, then some functions, that is state transition diagram, one more state we have seen, that is dormant state, then function we have seen OS initialization, the next function we have seen, that is OS create, how to create a task, then how to delete a task. Okay. Then the next function is to suspend a task. Okay, let you have to suspend a task. How to suspend a task means you have to move from one task to another task. So you have to suspend the previous task and move to the another task. So for this you have to call the function task suspend. Okay. Then next function is resume the task. Resume the task means right now I have completed the interrupted task, and now I have to continue with the previous task. So that is nothing but the resuming the task. So if you call OS task resume, it will resume the task. Okay. Task management APIs. Okay, application. It's application interfaces. So available time operations are okay. Now first service we have seen, that is task management. Okay, so in the task management I have these four services: create a task, delete a task, suspend a task, and resume a task. Just remember this is related with the task management functions of your RTOS. Now second service of your MUCOS 2 is called as the time management services. Okay, so in time management services you have these kinds of time operations. First time operation available in time management is a delaying a task. You can delay a given task for some whatever the time, maybe it is in hour, minute, then seconds or milliseconds. Okay. Second function or service provided by this time management is a resuming a delayed task. Okay, so you can resume a previous task. Okay. And last one, system time getting and setting. That means you can get a time from the system and you can set the time of system also. Okay. That means if you want to use any real-time clock, so that time you are able to set the RTC of your processor by using this time management functions. Okay, and also you are able to get the current time from your processor. So these are the three special services or functions comes under the time management. Now this is theoretical. We have to set it practically. So we have this particular function called as a void or OS time delay. Okay, so we have seen at the time of practical operating system time delay. Okay, int16u. Okay, and ticks. So it is unsigned 16-bit integer. Okay, that means 2 raised to 16 means 65,536. Okay, and now you have to remember rather than clocks in ARM7, it is called as a ticks. Okay, so rather than time, the number of ticks are measured. So the time delay that the task will be suspended in number of clock ticks. Okay, so that is nothing but your this time. So here time is generated by counting the number of ticks. Okay, delaying a task. Now how to delay a task? So we have, so this is the first function, delaying a task. If you want to delay any task, you can call this particular function OS time delay. Okay, and you enter the actual value by which value you want to delay your task. Okay, for example, let I want to delay a task by let 100 seconds, so I will enter a 100. Okay, next function is delaying a task. So OS time delay HMSM. So it is more accurate. Time delay H for hour, M for minute, S for seconds, and M for milliseconds. And internal parameters is given int ATU hours, int ATU minutes. So int ATU is a data type, and this is the name of the variable. So hours, minutes, and seconds and milliseconds. So 4 parameters can be set, or you can delay your any task very much precisely in terms of hours, minutes, seconds, or milliseconds also. Okay, so these pointers are shown. Hours, the number of hours that the task will be delayed. Minutes, the number of minutes the task will be delayed. Seconds, the number of seconds the task will be delayed, and the number of milliseconds the task will be delayed. Okay, so this is very important function regarding your practical also and theory also. Okay, next function related to your time is resuming a delayed task. Okay, by using OS time delay resume. It's very simple, you can remember it easily. Time delay resume. Resume means continue the previous task. Okay, so INT8U operating system time delay resume, INT8U. Okay, priority. So priority specifies the priority of the task to resume. Okay, and return value either no error, invalid priority, task is not delayed, task does not exist. If you are comfortable with the return value of any function, it's okay. Okay, otherwise at least you should remember the name of the function and its operation. Okay, so this function will resume the delayed task. Okay, so we have seen these different functions of time delay. That is, you can delay a task, you can resume a delayed task, okay, or you can set the timing also, or you can read the time also. So out of this, OS time delay HMSM is very important. I hope you understood the this particularly time management. Okay. Fine with different functions required for the time management. Okay, I hope you have understood these functions also. Now next services we have already covered, intertask communication and synchronization. So semaphore services is over, mailbox service that is also over, mutual exclusion message queue is over, mutual exclusion is remaining. Okay, so once again I will just take the review of all the services. Okay, so semaphore we have seen. I will go through the different functions. So let's see now what are the different services that is supported by the semaphore. So management call functions of semaphore. So semaphore will give you different functions or facilities. So first facility that is given by the semaphore services is creating a semaphore. So user can create a semaphore, user can delete a semaphore, also waiting on a semaphore. Okay, if the semaphore is not available, we can wait for a semaphore. Semaphore post. Okay, so we can post the semaphore, then getting a semaphore without waiting. Okay, you can directly accept the semaphore without waiting, and obtaining the status of semaphore. For example, whether the semaphore is available or not. Okay, I'm checking the status. So that is also available here. And these functions we have seen in the last lecture. That is how to create a semaphore. So I'll just repeat once again. Creating a semaphore, use OS sema create function, and internal it having the CNT value. Okay, the initial value for the semaphore is 0. 0 indicates no resource available, that is no semaphore is available. If it having value rather than 0, it shows that the resource is initially available. That means the key is available. If the key is available, you can enter into the house. Likewise, if the key is available, the task can take the semaphore and continue to execute itself. Okay, so this is what the semaphore create function. We have seen the code also. Then we have seen how to sema paint and post. Okay, so first we have to see the sema post. Sema post means post or acquire the semaphore. Okay, so if you want to acquire the semaphore, you have to call OS sema post. Okay, and waiting on a semaphore. Okay, that is sema post and sema paint. So these are the two functions we have to remember. There are some other functions of semaphore available called as OS sema accept, means without any delay it will accept. So all these are the functions related to semaphores. Then we have seen the message mailbox. So message mailbox, in message mailbox, one task can put the message into the your message mailbox, and another task can read from that message or from this that mailbox. Okay, so these kinds of services are called as a message mailbox. So here there are different services again for message mailbox. We have seen the first you have to create the semaphore. So sorry, we have to create the message mailbox. So OS mailbox create function is used to create the mailbox. Okay, then when task 1 want to put something into the mailbox, it have a function called as OS mbox post. Okay, post means putting into the mailbox. Okay, now if task 2 want to read from the mailbox, it will call the function OS mailbox paint. Okay, so it will use this function mailbox paint. Okay, so remember post and paint. Paint means reading from the mailbox, and posting means putting into the mailbox. Okay, if you understood these three functions, that are sufficient. Create the service like message mailbox. So mbox create, post some message into the mailbox, that is OS mbox post, and read from the mailbox, that is OS mbox paint. Just remember these three functions. So mailbox management call functions are available. That means mailbox will provide these different services like creating the mailbox, then deleting a mailbox, waiting on a mailbox, then signaling a mailbox, then getting a mailbox without waiting, and obtaining the status of mailbox. So these are the different services provided by the mailbox. Out of this, even if you remember three services: to create a mailbox, post the message into the mailbox, and to read from the mailbox. So OS mbox create function, OS mbox post, and OS mbox paint. So these three are really sufficient to implement the message mailbox. So this is the function OS mbox create. Okay, so again remember this OS m indicates the service related to message mailbox. And what is the message? It is a remember this is a pointer actually. Asterisk means it's point to the address of this character. Okay, so a pointer to a message to deposit in the mailbox. If null, mailbox is empty and is used for signal occurrence of events. If is it not null, mailbox is used to assess the shared resources. Then return value null, non-null for successful creation, null for failure. Okay. Creating a mailbox we have seen. Now deleting a mailbox. This is the function OS mbox delete. Okay. Okay. So and these are the different parameters of this function. Okay. Then next is waiting for a message at a mailbox. Okay, that is reading from the mailbox. So OSM box paint. Okay, that is read from the mailbox. Okay. Now here are two scenarios for reading from the mailbox. That is, if tasked to try to read from the mailbox, the first condition, the message is already posted by task 1. In this scenario, you are tasked to have the a message into the mailbox and it can read instantly. It can read instantly. But in the other scenario, what happened? The task 2 tried to read from the mailbox, but the task 1 has not put the message into the mailbox. So in this particular situation, your task 2 has to wait for some time. So that's why you have to mention the timeout value also. Okay, so that's why your int16u timeout. That means for how much time you want to wait for the message from the task 1. Okay. Now if I put a timeout equal to 10, that means I'm waiting for 10 ticks. That is, task 2 want to wait for a 10 ticks from the message that is posted or being posted by the task 1. So within 10 ticks, if the message is received, the OS mbox paint will receive the message. Otherwise, it will show the timeout. Okay, and it will show the timeout in the error. Okay, that is the last parameter. So int8u error. This error is nothing but no error if the message is received instantly, and timeout means message is not received after particular time also. Okay, so it shows the error. Which kind of error is this? So this function will return the function. This returns the value, that is timeout. Okay. Now next is sending a message to mailbox, that is OS mbox post. Okay. Post and pen, just remember this one, that is sufficient. Then message queues we have seen. Okay, message queues. Now what is message queue? In the message queue, rather than one mailbox, I have now multiple mailbox. Okay, so this is mailbox 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if I have 5 mailbox, now what is the use of this 5 mailbox? That means my 5 tasks can simultaneously put the message into the 5 mailboxes, and also the remaining 5 tasks can read the message from these 5 mailboxes. Okay, that means the overall execution speed can be increased if I use the message queue. Okay, now but if I use message mailbox only, then there is only one mailbox, so your other task has to wait. Still that message is read by the any particular task. Okay, so message queue is also very much simple. Again, you have to remember the 3 functions or 3 services provided by the message queue. The first function is OS queue create. So first you have to create the message queue. Second, you have to post the message into the queue. So OS queue post, OS queue post, and last one is a OS pend. Okay, that means read from the queue. So these are sufficient functions to implement the message queue. OS queue create, OS queue post. So this task will post the message by calling this function queue post into the mailbox. Another task will read the message from this mailbox or this queue by calling the function OS queue paint. Okay, and other functions are also given. Okay, there are a lot of functions given, but at least you should understand this. So message queue management call functions are again similar to the message mailbox. That is, you can create a message queue. You are able to delete a message queue. You can wait for a message in a message queue. You can post a message into the message queue. You can get a message queue without waiting or obtaining the status of message queue. Okay, so that is what I have said. If you understood one of the service, you are able to understand the remaining services and their related functions also. Okay, so then message queue, just say the same thing, that is queue paint. Okay, then queue, this is queue paint. So queue paint, then is a queue post. So these are the services that are provided by the message queue. Okay, so I have covered this task management. I have covered type management functions. then semaphore management functions. Then I have covered message mailbox related functions, and finally I have covered the message queue related functions. Okay, so if you remember, if you understand this, that is more than sufficient to write a RTOS based programs in a practical words. Okay, so at the time of practical also I will explain the code for implementing the semaphore, implementing the message queue, implementing the message mailbox. Okay, and also the task management. So all these codes already I have explained the last practical, but in the next practical so I will explain the same. Okay, so I hope you people have understood up till now. Okay, so I want some confirmation from you people. Okay, are you getting the things or not? One, two, three. Okay. Okay. So you are not in a dormant state. You are in running state. Are you in running state? Yes, only few students are in running state. What about other? We have 17 peoples. Okay. I have got only 4-5 responses. 3, 6. Are you getting this? Okay. Anyhow, you have to understand this. Otherwise, there is no any alternative. Okay. Because we have practical based upon this particular topic. So that's why I revise maybe 2 or 3 times. Okay. It is very, very important. Whatever the points I have taken right now, these are very important regarding your practicals also. Okay. So I think whatever the responses, you have got the things. Then we will go for the, it should be the last topic actually, unit number 3. It's called as a porting MuCOS2. Okay. So what do you mean by porting of MuCOS2? So in a very simple language, I have told you, now we cannot run any application that is based upon your RTOS without porting of your RTOS into the microprocessor or microcontroller. Okay. So you have studied the development board of LPC 2148. Okay, so up till now we have run our applications individually. That is a blinking of LEDs. Okay, then displaying the message on the LCD, then detecting the pressed key. Okay, now all these applications we have implemented without RTOS. Okay, but in this subject we have to implement all these application but with the RTOS. Okay, so that RTOS is a MuCOS2. Okay, and this RTOS we have to map or port into your microcontroller or microprocessor, that is LPC 2148. In the memory of your processor you have to copy this MuCOS2. Okay, for this you have to purchase the MuCOS2. Okay, the author of this MuCOS2 is Jean Lambros. So from itself you have to pay for this RTOS. It is not a free. So if you pay for this RTOS, so then you purchase this one and then copy this RTOS into the processor. And if you put this RTOS into the processor, only then you are able to run the RTOS based practical. Okay, so porting of MuCOS2 is nothing but copying your RTOS into the processor memory. Okay, so this process is simply called as a porting of MuCOS2. Now some of the facts related to porting of MuCOS2 we will see here. One is called as a port. So what do you mean by the port? Okay, so adapting a real-time kernel to a microprocessor or microcontroller is called a port. Okay, remember the definition of what do you mean by port. Okay, adapting a real-time kernel to a microprocessor or microcontroller is called a port. Okay. Next statement, processor can run MUCOS2 if the processor satisfies the following requirement. Okay. That means you cannot use RTOS, okay, in any situation. Okay, so there are some of the constraints or requirement, okay, to run your MUCOS2. So what are the requirement of your MUCOS2? So the first requirement of your MUCOS2 is the processor has a C compiler. Okay, so for example, we are working on the LPC2148, so it has a C compiler. Which one? Right now we are using the SPJ compiler, that is India's first compiler for embedded. Okay, universal compiler that we use, that is a Kill compiler. Okay, so it having all these compilers having a internal C compilers, that is nothing but the development tool. So that is the first requirement. Second requirement is the processor should support interrupts and can provide any interrupts. Okay, if there are no interrupts, then there is no need of using the RTOS. Okay, because RTOS is used for real-time applications, and real-time tasks are raised by only interrupts. So the processor should support the interrupts and can provide any interrupts also. This is the second requirement. Third requirement is the processor supports a hardware stack that can accommodate a fair amount of data. Okay, so each task we have seen, it requires stack memory. Before the creation of the task, you have to assign the stack memory to each task. So the processor should support a hardware stack, okay, that can accommodate a fair amount of data. If there is no memory, then how it will accommodate the data required for the execution of the RTOS. Okay. And last one, the processor has instructions, or should have the instructions, to load and store the stack pointer and other CPU register. Okay, so this is the most condition, because whenever we switch from one task to another task, the procedure is to load the contents of the current task, okay, onto the stack memory. And to load these contents, you require the load instructions. Okay, and when you pop down, maybe you require the store instruction and the load instruction. Okay, to store on the stack and to download from the stack. So you require the load and store type of instructions, so that you can copy the contents of your CPUs. Okay, so these are some of the requirement of your MUCOS2 if you want to run your MUCOS2 based application on embedded board. So porting MUCOS2 is straightforward after you understand the target processor and the C compiler you are using. Okay, so copying is very simple. Okay, unless and until you understand the target processor and the compiler. So you should have good understanding of the compiler, C compiler, and the target processor. Okay, and depending on the processor, a port can consist of writing or changing the code. Okay, so for example, let I have questions. Can I use the MUCOS2 on ARM9 or Cortex M3 type of processor? Okay, so my answer is yes. I can port my MUCOS2 on ARM9 and Cortex type of processor also. But whether I can able to use the same code that is used for LPC2148. Okay, so that is the question. Can I use the same code? Okay, or whether the code that is written for ARM7 is compatible to the ARM9 and Cortex M3 processor. Okay, so the answer is partially yes, but not correctly. So if you want to map or want to use the code that is written for your one of the processor, and you want to use the same code for the another processor. Okay, so you require one device called as a tool chain. Okay, you have to write a tool chain that will automatically convert this kind of code for another processor. Okay, otherwise you cannot use the same code. So that is one of the one of the job area, writing a tool chain for the different processors. So this is all about the porting of MUCOS 2. Okay. So I have completed this porting of MUCOS 2 also. It's quite simple concept. Okay, but you have to understand the target processor, compiler. Okay, then you have to copy that into the memory of processor. All this process is nothing but the putting of the your MUCOS 2. I hope you understood this. Now I will discuss the last point. I will take maybe 4 or 5 minutes only. Okay. Actually, this is the first point of this unit. I have not covered because it's so simple. The name of the topic is MUCOS 2 features. Okay. So what are the features of your MUCOS 2? So that is the first or obvious question. Whenever we purchase any laptop or mobiles, we will always see the features. So what are the features available? So if I use MUCOS 2, what are the different features are available in MUCOS 2? Okay, so the first feature available in the MUCOS 2 is called as a source code. Source code means the code that is already written by someone, okay, and that is debugged and that is correct. So we don't have to bother about the code. We have to use it directly. That is by just calling the function and by passing the parameter, we are able to use that particular code. Second is a portable. Okay, portable means I can use this code for different types of processors. ROMable, it should be fit into the ROM. Scalable, it should be reduced. It can be reduced. Preemptive, you know that that is whenever high priority task preempts the low priority task, your high priority task has to execute first and then the low priority task. So this is called as a preemptive type of kernels. MUCOS 2 is a multitasking. That means it can execute multiple tasks. Then deterministic. Now deterministic means the performance of MUCOS 2 is deterministic. That means that how much time is required to execute a particular function, that is deterministic. Okay, if I call OS time delay function, so how much time is required to execute that function, that is already predefined in MUCOS 2. Okay, so that's why all the functions are called as a deterministic. Then next feature is a task stack. So as we have seen that each task requires some memory to store its variables. So this will provide you the stack to each task. Then it having different services. Right now we have seen task management service, then time management service. Okay, then mailboxes, that is resource synchronization, and the task synchronization services like message mailbox, message queues, events types, etc. Also, it can provide the interrupt management functions also. And this MUCOS 2 is robust and reliable. Okay, robust means it will not crash so easily, and user can be confident on this MUCOS 2 or use of MUCOS 2. Okay, so these are called as different functions of MUCOS 2. Okay, the same functions are elaborated here. The source code is high quality. Okay, so this is what the source code. It is very high quality, neatly written, consistent, well organized, and commented. Commented means the meaning of the code is also given. Okay, so first feature is source code. Okay, which having these kinds of features. It is very high quality code, neatly written, consistently written, well organized, and having the comments to each statement. Okay. Then portable, I have told what do you mean by portable. Portable means MUCOS 2. I can use the same MUCOS 2 on ARM also, ARM type, that is ARM based processor, Freescale processor. Okay, Intel processor, Renesas, Atmel, Rabbit. So these are the different manufacturer of your processors and microcontrollers, and your MIPC can be ported to any of these type of processor. Okay, so highly portable ANSI assembly keys kept minimum support 8, 16, 32, 64 bit of processor. Okay, म्हणजे वेगवेगळ्या processor can be supported. Okay, that is size of your processor. Ported over 100 different processors. Okay, just see, all ports are freely available at the Microm website. So you can get the MUCOS2 detail from this website, www.microm.com. Okay. Okay, so it's 12 people are there. I will stop here.